So
Preseason before the season started.
yeah, I think it's even back a little bit. I think it might have been after we found out Robin Leonard was done.
Gotcha.
And so, but got to give credit to Cassidy's done a great job his first season coming over here. And hockey's real. I mean, I grew up, of course, a Rangers fan. All we had 1994. That's it. My dad used to tell me, son, yeah, and all we hear is a 1940 chance when they go to the island and play the Islanders. Meanwhile, producer Mark Hope, big Flyers fan, haven't heard from his boys since the late 70s, but once he heard that you were a Penguins fan right away, he's just got up out of his seat. That's a battle in the Keystone State, of course, and he backs most of his sports as far as with the Philly teams outside of baseball. He's not a Phillies fan; he's an Orioles fan. But Sunday he's got his big game, his alma mater, North Dakota State, going against South Dakota State. That'll be a lot of fun. Tomorrow. Game tomorrow as well.
Definitely, man. A good friend of mine, Kevin. Big shout out to Kevin from Clever Shirt. Little plug there. He has season tickets. He's like, hey, if the wife can't go, you want to come along? No hesitation needed. I'm there, baby.
There you go, Kev. Good job, man. Way to come through. Meanwhile, one of my sponsors, Roger Sachs, comes through with flying colors. Apparently, his wife can't go to the game either. So KT is a reputable fill-in there. Probably, not the way Raj would want it, but the way that it works out. But on the good side of things, my good pal Wayne Mabry, the Violator, went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a fan 2 years ago. I was there in Canton. It was the same year that Coach Flores and Charles Woodson went in. And then, of course, the Violator, Wayne Mabry, was one of the first. There were three that went in there as far as the fans. Well, he'll be here, of course, with the spikes on his shoulders and his war paint on. And then after the game, we're going to connect. And we are going to go over to Steiner's Pub, 1750 North Buffalo. So if you want to see the Violator, we're going to be having dinner. Come on over. He'll get a picture with you. Just a great guy. Wayne Mabry, been doing that deal for 4 decades. Are you kidding me? Unbelievable. Following the Raiders the way he does now. Tried to get the Gorilla Mark Ocasio as well, but Mark already had plans worked out. So I'll be – and the best thing was – He goes, are you sure they're going to let me wear my war paint? And I go, are you kidding me? I'm going to the game with the owner, man. And I called Roger Sachs, and Rod says, looking forward to meeting him. And Wayne's a great guy. So good stuff going on tomorrow. Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. We'll get into that game. Brad Power's going to join us at 8:25. We'll keep him a couple segments. Looking forward to that. And PSBR Law Studios, where I am, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, Wednesdays, of course, at Steiner's Pub, 1750 North Buffalo, 103 in the Vegas Valley, 8410 West Cheyenne, the original in their 25th year, 8168 Las Vegas Boulevard South, right there at Windmill. But PSBR Law, the best in personal injury, Southern Cal for a long, long time. Brian Panish, senior partner there, and his Panish, Shea Boyle, and Ravipudi. They are phenomenal. Raul Ravipudi, big-time Buffalo Bills fan, so I'm sure he's happy with the progress that DeMar Hamlin has made. A little FaceTime with the teammates today and really taken a lot of stress, I think, off all those Buffalo teammates and coaching staff. And I think they'll be geared up. So be careful now on that game with New England. Patriots need to win to wrap up a playoff spot. But if they lose to Buffalo, that opens the door up for Miami. Miami will go with Skylar Thompson against the Jets. Jets will be missing 3 offensive linemen. They'll also be missing their quarterback. Mike White will not play. It'll be Joe Flacco. Same way they started the season, the Jets. Injury problems at quarterback. Same way they're going to end the season. And we'll see how things pan out with that game and all the other games. Rich Badger, Philly Toyota out of town scoreboard. Games going right now in the association. Nuggets 104-92, 7:50 to go fourth quarter, -5, leading the Cavs by 12, total 222.5. See how that one finishes out. T-Wolves, no problem putting away the Clippers. Clippers just got dumped on the other night badly. And getting pummeled right now. It is 111-96. Wolves up 5.5 is the line there. They're favored 5.5 at home. Still 6:35 to go in the fourth quarter. This game should get well over the total. Heat lead the Suns at halftime. Phoenix really struggling. Look for them to be busy by the trade deadline. It is Miami 51-46. The Heat as well. I can see them as far as making some moves. It is Miami -1, 211 going into the game. Jose, what is NBA? Your allegiance is still Lakers, right?
Unfortunately, right now, yes, I am still a Laker fan. That has not changed.
Stay loyal.
I'll be honest with you. We're doing better record-wise this year than a lot of us expected, especially what we saw last year. But I think it's not over yet. But the whole LeBron situation, I think that is over. I mean, I don't see him.
What about AD? Is that guy ever going to play a season where he's
you can't breathe on him?
60 games?
You can't breathe on him. You breathe on him, he gets injured. It's amazing.
He's a great player, but you got to have him, especially during postseason. So right now, speaking of the Lakers, they're up 15 big ones on the Hawks. 9:46 to go. First half, 45-30. So Lakers at 45 with almost 10 minutes to go in the half. And this could be one of those 140 games they hit.
But that's a lot of points. 45-30, 9:45 left in the second quarter. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. Live game if you want to bet the total.
242.5.
Is that in game right now, live?
No, that was the line going into the game, so I'm sure it's even higher than that. So you keep me abreast on that because I'm going to follow that total throughout. Finals from earlier tonight: Pacers 108-99 beat the Blazers by 9, laying 1.5, 237.5. That game doesn't come close. My Knicks won on the road. They won in Toronto. Alert the media. 4-point dogs. They win it by 4. Total 216. Game gets over. Hits 220. 112-108. Knickerbockers north of the border in Toronto beat the Raptors. Bulls 126-112. They take care of the boys from the city of brotherly love. That's Mark Hoke's Sixers that get beat up big time by the Chicago Bulls. Sixers -5. Bulls win it by 14. Total 234 in the game. It's 238, 126, 112. Mark Hoke does not have an excuse for that Sixers effort tonight. Hornets 130. How about this one? Hornets 138. Bucks 109 in Milwaukee. Come on, man. NBA, man. Just bet underdogs because it's whack, man. I mean, NHL, you expect to bet underdogs, but some of these, games over the last week, just bizarre. I mean, OKC by 33 against the Celtics the other night. This is absolutely ridiculous. The Hornets 138-109. They were +10 in the game. Total was 230, so the game sails over. But they beat the Bucks on Milwaukee's home court by 27 or by 29 big ones. Spurs 121-109. But that game stays under the total. I think that busts the Spurs 9-game over. They had 9 games in a row, I think, that went over the total. Spurs were -1. They win it by 12, so they covered that. And the game stays under the total against Detroit, 121-109. San Antonio with the win. OKC back at home, beat up on the Wizards, 127-110. It was OKC only minus a point. 231 was the total, so that game also gets up and over the total. Nets win. That's 13 out of 14. Brooklyn wins at New Orleans. And they were down 8 points early in that game, but came back and won it. They were laying 4.5, so they get the win and the cover. This game doesn't come close to going over the 231.5. Do anything with this game?
With what game?
With Nets in New Orleans?
I didn't touch anything today. The only thing that I did have the other night, I had the Thunder on the money line against Boston, but I had them parlayed with something else. I don't know if you saw that game. That was a huge game for OKC. They came out and just surprised a lot of people, just like the Hornets surprised the Bucks today. Sometimes you got to follow and look at the money.
150 to 117, 33 big points.
Got to find it.
OKC, okay, so limited college basketball. Real quick, duck in some of these games. Toledo finally showed up to be the team that a lot of us thought they were going to be in the MAC. Western Michigan comes off, playing a tooth and nail game in their last outing, but Toledo smokes Western Michigan, beat the Bronx 102-74. Game gets well over the total. Total was 154.5. Game hits 176. 102-74. Toledo laying the 16. No problem there as they win it by 28. Oakland, the Golden Grizzlies, they win against the Norse of Northern Kentucky. Both those teams have been two of the top dogs as far as two of the top big boys over there in the Horizon League, along with Wright State. It's really been 3 teams over the last several years that have battled. Northern Kentucky, though, at home was a 6.5-point favorite, and Oakland surprised them with that 1-point road win. Total 133. Game stays under. How about Yale? 16.5-point favorites. They lose to the Big Green at Dartmouth, 81-77. That's 2 losses in a row by Yale, where they were 16-point favorites, and they lose both games. One was on the road, but this one was at home. 81-77 the final. Dartmouth. Wonder what that money line would have been. 77-69 overtime. Niagara wins against Fairfield. Beat the Stags on their home court. Fairfield was -3. Total 122.5. With the extra session, game flies over. Hits 146. 77-69. Purple Eagles of Niagara. Siena 70-60. This was one I was going to play, did not. St. Peter's is way down after beating Kentucky in the tournament last year. Peacocks struggling mightily right now. That total 127.5, and the game does get over by 2.5 points. 130 is what it hits. 70-60. Siena, the Saints in Albany on their home court take care of business. I was watching a little Wright State in Detroit. Detroit was up 13 when I was watching it. Wright State comes back and beats them 90-85. They were -5, so they pushed the number. Total was 155. Game hits 175. 90-85. Red Raiders beat the Titans of Detroit. Iona, that's Rick Pitino's team, 84-57. No problem. Blowout. Marist laying 11.5. The Gales come up big and win it by 27 over the Red Foxes. Game also getting over the total, hitting 141. Total was 136.5. Ryder, the Bronx at home, they get beat by Quinnipiac. Pretty good Quinnipiac team. The Bronx are down a little bit this year, 72-63. Quinnipiac, 1.5-point favorites. They win it by 9. Game stays under the total. Canisius, I nearly pulled my trigger on this one as well. Golden Griffin's a pretty good team. They have some great nicknames in the Metro Atlantic, no question. Beat the Jaspers of Manhattan, 64-57. Manhattan was laying 2 on their home court, 142.5. Total doesn't come close there. How about Princeton? They go on the road. Well, not really on the road. They go from Jersey up to New York City and beat up on Columbia. 68-49, laying 10.5, win it by 19. Game stays under. Harvard beat Brown by 2. They were laying 1, so they get the road cover. 128.5 was the total. Game gets over by 9.5 points. Andy Isco said last night he would play his alma mater, Penn. AI, you lost some money on this one. Cornell, the Big Red, 88-69, beat up on the Quakers in a game that gets over the total. 154.5 hits 157. Ball State has just finished off Akron, laying 3.5 on their home court. Cardinals win it 70-63. Game getting over by 1.5. In that one, it was 131.5, and the game hits 133. And then the last game, how about Cal? Roxy Bernstein, he's a happy man. His alma mater taking care of business against Stanford. And that's the rival right there at Haas Pavilion. I called a game there with Long Beach State back in the day. 92-70 Cal with a 22-point victory as 8-point underdogs. And that game gets over the total by 41 points. On the ice right now, 2 games going. Calgary in Alberta leading the Islanders 4-1, 6:50 to go in regulation. Tied at 2. San Jose and Anaheim from Orange County, still 12:23 to go, second period. That total 6.5. You're on your way there. Both teams just need one more goal, and you're guaranteed to get that over. Chicago shut out Arizona in the Windy City 2-0. 4-2. Winnipeg doubled up on the Lightning of Tampa Bay. Again, the Jets continue to play good, solid hockey. Florida nips Detroit on the road in the Motor City 3-2, and another 3-2 final with the road team victorious Nashville, getting past Washington 3-2, and a low-scoring Friday night. It looks like the Grand Salami will go well under. And that is a look at the Rich Badge Finley Toyota out-of-town scoreboard. Remember, the Preventative Diagnostic Center, if you're in that demographic between 40 and 72, you're pretty fortunate here in the Vegas Valley. But that also includes you folks that are coming into Vegas. Everyone comes into Vegas at least once a year, right? So if you're coming in here for an extended period, call ahead and see if you can schedule up and take care of business as far as setting yourself up an appointment. We've got the only scanner of its kind in the region that gives you early detection before signs and symptoms of more than 24 ailments like heart disease, lung disease, detects cancer. It is phenomenal to have your organs to be able to, understand where they are depending where you are in life. And the older you get, better news every time when you get that clean bill of health. Early detection is key. We always tell you about that. Comfortable scan takes only a few minutes. A few days later, you get a detailed report from a board-certified radiologist. Heart CT scan calcium score special continues to roll out. $600 value per person. It's a total of $125, not only for you, but for your significant other. Guys, I tell you especially, be careful. Don't get blindsided by that widowmaker, right? That just happened with Nwara, the big offensive tackle from Jacksonville. Dropped dead, 38 years old, of a heart attack just last week. So, if you find out, that your arteries are clogged, you can do something about it. If you have no clue, that first heart attack could be your last heart attack, and that could be it. So you want to give a call right now. You can leave a message, get that free educational consultation. Let them know Ken Thompson Sports X Radio sent you. You already got the 702 down for Vegas. 534-7900, 534-7900, 534-7900. Dr. John Pearson Company, Preventative Diagnostic Center. You want to see the scanner? Go to pdcenterlv.com, pdcenterlv.com. All right, Brad Power's going to join us. We're going to get into that TCU-Georgia game for Monday. Going to get into some of the big NFL games. We'll get Brad's take. Find out how he's doing in that Golden Nugget contest. I haven't talked to him in a while because he, went back to Ohio, but he's back in Vegas now. But I don't know where BP is. We know he was in first place. I'm hoping he's still there. Sports X Radio, Ken Thompson, Jose Volante in studio. Follow the show at Sports X Radio, at Ken Thompson 87, at Mark Hoke Show. That's my producer, Mark Hoke, of course, the best in professional wrestling. Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on KDWN 101.5 FM. Jose, give out your Twitter handle.
At Jose_Volante. Find me there.
There you go. Volante. I love it. Yeah, it sounds like that car. That's how we went out when he got to the studio. I was singing the Volaris. Great stuff. All right. We are live from Vegas. Keep it right here. We're going to rock and roll all the way to 10 o'clock on a Friday football fiasco. We'll mix in a lot of college basketball, look at some of the overnights, NBA and NHL as well. So lots going on right here, Sports X Radio. We'll be right back.
All the money coming in on TCU. So the only thing I was gonna say about that Dartmouth Yale game,
What's up, man?
the Dartmouth Yale game,
Yeah.
that's a game that if I would have seen prior to today, prior to the game being started, I would have took Dartmouth because there was way too much money on Yale. Lined open at -16.5 for Yale, and we're looking anywhere from 72 to 75% of ATS tickets being sold was on Yale, but yet the line didn't move whatsoever. It literally stayed at, I'm sorry, yeah, on Yale, but yet it stays at -16.5. Like the books are basically telling you they're afraid to move the line on a big favorite like that. I would have took Dartmouth at that point because I don't know. I don't follow stats when it comes to betting all the time. As crazy as it sounds, working in a book changed my mind so much. I look at numbers, movement.
Yeah. Where did you work? Which book?
I opened up Eastside Cannery and then I worked at Northside Cannery for a little
Did
bit
you
as
really?
well. Yeah.
And then they sold that place, right?
So no,
The guy
Northside.
that used to own it was Bill somebody.
So they were the Bills. There were three. There were two Bills. There were two guys that were called Bill something and Bill whatever.
Yeah.
And they.
I met the one guy. Because he ended up buying Gaming Today.
He was trying to sell everything to remember the Meadowlands, the racetrack.
Thanks, pal.
The Meadowlands.
Yeah,
he was trying to sell it to
from
all of
Jersey,
that.
man.
He was trying to sell it to the people that run and own that. They were
Right.
supposed to buy it. Then that fell out. Then there was an Australian group that came in that was supposed to buy it, but their ties to some other stuff didn't go through. So he ended up selling it to somebody else. But now it's all Boyd Gaming. Boyd took over everything. Yeah. Oh.
Shari Hughes, 16 years old. Jesus Christ.
That's crazy, man. Chilling with Batman tonight. We got Batman in the background.
Yeah, he loves you, man.
It's the homie right there.
Oh yeah, you got it on Facebook. You can see Batman behind you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you go to your Twitter right now, we're live.
Yeah.
People can hear you. Watch. Yeah, see? We're live on Twitter right now.
There you go. Beautiful.
YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. If you guys are watching it, you can hear this right now. We appreciate you guys. If you're in the Vegas Valley, you're in the area, 101.5 FM, 720 AM dial. Yeah, man. Sports X Radio, chopping it up with Ken Thompson in the studio. Tune in.
Little John Cougar on a Friday. Football fiasco. KT Live, PSBR Law Studios here in Las Vegas. Jose Belante with me in studio. And on the PSBR Law hotline is none other than Mr. Brad Powers, the best in college football. Just love the guy. He's still a kid, man, but he knows history of college football. And when it comes to handicapping, futures, and then each week, against the line movement, I would say Brad Powers is somewhere in the 85 percentile as being on the right side of line movements as far as games. Now, BP, and again, you can follow Brad on Twitter at Brad Powers7, the number 7. BP, last time I saw you, you were in first place Golden Nugget with 3 weeks to go. Where is Brad Powers now? I can always say that. I got you by 21 big ones. Are you kidding me? You're a kid. All right. No. All right. Gosh darn it, BP. All right. So at least you did rebound then last week. Is this the last weekend coming up? All right, so Jose Vellante is with me. I don't think you got to meet Jose. He had said he heard you on my show, but he has not had the opportunity to meet the great Brad Powers. Jose, Brad Powers.
Brad, appreciate you, man. Great listening to you always, and looking forward to see what you got tonight.
There you go. All right.
There we go.
There you go. All right. So BP, just a couple things, couple notes that I wanted to get, and I know there's a lot of them. No surprise, really. UNLV hires Bobby Petrino, offensive coordinator. He gets an offer then from Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. Naturally, the money's going to be a lot more. I feel bad for some of the recruits that he had gotten to come here. They came here because they thought he was going to be the OC. We'll see. I think that there's a young quarterback that I think UNLV already offered or honored that scholarship. But Bobby Petrino, it doesn't surprise you, right? Anything that this guy does, right? All right. So real quick, your recap as far as the two semifinal CFP games with TCU getting a couple pick sixes and ending up in that championship game against Georgia, and Ohio State right there probably should have won the game, but Georgia finding a way to get it done like they have done over the last 2 years under Kirby Smart and company. What's your take as far as those two games, and how much did it cost you as far as that Michigan game? Also, real quick, what about Kirby Smart on the timeout where Ohio State was pulling the fake punt? Because that play was working. I didn't, there's several people that told me I didn't notice, but there's several people going, there's no way he got that timeout in time. What was your take there? And I know you're already on top of the transfer portal. I mean, there's been some significant moves. 3 Alabama players already committing to Sonny Dykes and TCU. Meanwhile, USC, they get a nice little addition as far as running back today with South Carolina running back Marshawn Lloyd. He's going to transfer to Southern Cal. Bernard's leaving Utah. Any idea where he's going? Because he's still got a year left and pretty solid, but he understands the writing's on the wall there with a couple of young guys there for Whittingham in the backfield. So Bernard's going to transfer out of there, Micah Bernard.
Really? Mm.
And we also had another one go to your school, Notre Dame. Got that Wake Forest quarterback coming over. And the last thing, Carson Steele transferring to UCLA out of Ball State. Pretty solid season there in the MAC. How will he transition in looking to replace Zach Charbonnet? Jose, you following all this transfer portal stuff? I mean, you got to have your head on a swivel to stay on top of this stuff.
The only thing I'm looking at are the top 10 defensive players that are in the transfer portal right now because I'm a SC fan, as you already know that, and we need help. I was at the Utah game. I was at the Pac-12 championship game. I was not at the Tulane game, but I saw it. It's so hard to watch when you see Caleb Williams on the sideline, and he looks so frustrated because he knows I can't play defense. You can see it in his face when he knows he's done so much for this team on the offensive side of the ball and as a leader in the locker room, but yet he can't play defense. It's hard when you see your team not being able to stop anyone. They look great on offense, but I'm looking at the top 10 guys that are in the transfer portal right now, whether it's D linemen or safeties or linebackers, but we need help on the defense side of this ball ASAP.
Brad, can SC do they have some recruits coming in? I know Oregon had a real strong recruiting season already out of the Pac-12, UCLA as well. But what about SC? Or are they going to have to again rely on the transfer portal? All right, we are going to take a break. We will come back and we are going to get into that college football championship game for Monday. It'll be TCU and Georgia. Jose Volante with KT in studio, and Brad Power is going to weigh in. We're going to keep him to. You've also got us on 101.5 FM KDWN, and do not forget the Odyssey app. It's spelled AUDACY. Just download that sucker. It's free, AUDACY. And then all you have to do is search KDWN or SportsX Radio. You'll be able to bring the show up from anywhere. KT with Brad Powers, with Jose Volante, Mark Hoke running the show live from Vegas. We'll be right back.
One guy wouldn't mind them seeing them go after is the kid from Syracuse. Deuce, what is they call him? Deuce Chestnut. Oh yeah.
That's the best. That's the best version, not the Ricardo Montalban.
Wow, Dorian Singer was a walk-on. He had no stars.
Yeah, unfortunately,
no
I had
recruiting.
the combination with the Canadian. Who's the gal that was here, did the long residency? Celine Dion, there you go. That's an outstanding album. I mean, or my wife has that. I've listened to it many times. I love Bocelli, man. He's phenomenal.
Andrea Bocelli.
Wow. That's bad. Where was Bocelli? Top 10?
Andrea Bocelli. Oh, I'm a little tired. Let's see.
I love Mark Hope, man, because he's right on cue, baby. Of course, KT having a little bit of fun with Jose Volante coming in, singing a little Volare when I answered the door, and Mark Hope right there with the music. Andrea Bocelli, nobody better. I mean, for KT, I mean, the pipes. Are you kidding me? Guy's absolutely phenomenal, and his voice just gives you the chills there. Ken Thompson with Jose in studio, and Brad Powers on the PSBR Law Hotline, and we're talking a little CFB title game, the Monday game, Georgia and TCU. BP, real quick before we get to that one, our producer Mark Oak, his alma mater, North Dakota State. I know you're with them. Do you still like him? I know all the players that he thought may be back for the game against South Dakota State on Sunday from Frisco, Texas, will not be there. Weather won't be too bad. Chance of rain and about, I looked at it, it looked like about 59 degrees or something. So, compared to getting out of the Dakotas, it's not indoors in the Fargo Dome, but it's not outdoors over there in Brookings, South Dakota. So either way, should make for a good game. Your take on that one, the line at 5.5, South Dakota the favorite. South Dakota State, sorry. Yeah, and here's the thing: didn't even know we were going to have two Saturday games, or did we? Were we for sure going to have those two Saturday games? Got it. Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the audience would be huge if they could get it. If they would have moved it to Saturday and had it set up there, I agree 100%. I mean, I'll be taking it in, but you're right. It's last weekend of NFL football, and there's some big games at hand that'll be going head to head with that FCS championship game. All right, let's get to the FBS championship game, and that is Georgia, of course, looking for two straight. TCU, the surprise. And the way you were talking to me a little bit earlier with me and Jose, you're talking like TCU very fortunate, a couple pick sixes. Look, I get it. That coupled with the Kendry Miller knee injury. Now they're fortunate. Amari DeMarcado is a pretty good running back as well, and actually lit it up for 150 and a touchdown in that game last Saturday. Your take on this one, TCU, Georgia? Go ahead, Brad. Break it down, because something tells me you're going to be on Georgia and you're going to lay the points. All right, so what do I do? Because I do have a C note on TCU, 18-1. I took them before the Final Four. Yeah. So what do I do there? Do I? There you go. I'll just tell you, Jose was jumping up and down when you said that about Duggan and the rushing total because he was literally on his app. Jose, did you already play that, or was that just one you were looking at as well?
So no, I didn't play it. I was looking at props because, like I told you last week, I'm doing a lot more props now, and that's the one that's been sticking out to me. That 31.5, I got it at -114 is what I'm looking at. But Brad, I was listening to what you were saying about the money lines on either side. What I'm looking at right now in the book that I have here, I won't give them any shout out because they don't pay me or anything like that. But I'm looking at -480 on the money line, -12.5 at -112, over and under 62.5. I don't know what I'm going to do with this game. It'll probably be a live wager game for me because I think it'll have a lot of action and a lot of value to bet while you're watching it. The only thing that I do like, and you took the words right out of my mouth, I think that 31.5 is golden. I don't use the word lock, but I like that 31.5 for Duggan to go over.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. So BP only have a couple minutes. The Raider game with KC, and again, coupled with everything that happened with the DeMar Hamlin situation, we know that more than likely he is going to make hopefully a full recovery, but he's well on his way recovering. Was able to FaceTime with the guys today over there at Buffalo. What's your take on the Raider game with KC tomorrow? KC 5-0 inside the AFC West, but 0-5 against the number. The 9 points. Would you take the points with the Raiders? Based on the way Stidham played, or now that there's film on Stidham, do you look at Kansas City knowing that they need the game? All right, so Jaguars -6.5. Is that cheap against a Titans team that's struggling for quarterback play? Although Dobbs, I think, has potential. And then, the Derrick Henry situation, it's been tough for Tennessee once Tannehill went down as well. I mean, this team is just struggling. Any chance the Titans can win this game, or what about covering the 6.5? All right, so Jose and I will get into the NFL big time in the second hour. But BP, what do you like? You got a minute. Just tell me some of the games that you're looking at on Sunday. Yeah, and Clowney getting sent home. That could be it for Clowney as a Brown. Stefanski says, no, that's too much bad pressure giving us. You can go home and watch this one. So we'll see. But the Steelers, they're going to give Deshaun Watson the business big time. And that line stayed steady at 2.5. I agree with you. I like the Steelers. Kenny Pickett finds a way near the end again. We'll see if he can make it 3 weeks in a row. BP, appreciate you as always. Look forward to having you back in studio sometime soon and connecting. I owe you dinner and then some. I owe you on that Raiders win total. So we'll get together real soon. But Brad Powers, you're the best, buddy. Appreciate all your work on the Friday Football Fiasco all year long, bud. Great stuff from Brad Powers at Brad Powers 7 at Jose_Volante. Follow him on Twitter at Ken Thompson 87 at SportsX Radio. Follow the show. Remember, the archives go up about an hour after the broadcast, so you can find those. They'll be tweeted right to you from Ken Thompson 87 at SportsX Radio. Live from Vegas PSBR Law Studios. Great hour number 2 coming up. Lots to get into. NFL. We'll talk a little more with Jose getting his take as far as that college football championship game on Monday. And then we'll get into some college basketball overnights as well. We'll get you caught up on the NBA games that are rolling, NHL as well. We're live from Vegas. Keep it right here, PSBR Law Studios. You're listening to SportsX Radio, 101.5 FM, KDWN, KDON, AUDACY.
How much time we got, KT? KT, how much time we got?
You got time, man. You
Can
got
I go to the
time.
bathroom?
Yeah, you got 4 minutes, man. 5 minutes.
Where's the restroom?
Okay, so go down the same hall we came in and just go past where you came in, and it'll be right there on the left. Cool. So straight down that hallway. What happened? What I
When you do the stations,
Okay.
you need to do both. You're
Oh, so
simulcasting on 1140.
Okay.
No, 1140.
Okay, 1140.
You're on
the
the bet.
1140 the bet.
So you need to do both.
Okay. I won't
Unless
say
he
as soon as
tells
I
you
come
not
back.
to,
Okay.
because there are days that gets preempted for basketball.
I'm sorry, and I got it. Right
I need
there,
you
so
to
got it
I need you
right
to hit both.
I'll
If
hit
you're
it
going to
when I-
mention one,
when
you
I come
have to
back.
mention the other,
You got it.
because then everybody thinks that I just don't know what I'm doing.
No. Okay.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Huh? What happened? I know.
01 through 08.
The cool thing is now that the station's here,
Mhm.
I was able to just get off and just go to In-N-Out, man.
Oh, it's right down the street.
Yeah, it's right there. It's literally right there. Two seconds away, man. I got the double with grilled onions, no tomato. It's just phenomenal, man.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I love In-N-Out. But I like the Farmer Brothers burgers. You know,
Farmer Boys?
Farmer Boys. They do a lettuce wrap burger. It's phenomenal. It's
Low carb, whatever they call it. Yeah.
But they wrap it in good lettuce, man.
Here we go.
Hour number 2, and don't forget, of course, not only are we on 101.5 FM KDWN, but 1140 The Bet carrying SportsX Radio as well. And it's streaming on the Odyssey app. And again, that's spelled AUDACY. When you get there to the app, just search KDWN or SportsX Radio. So we're coming at you a lot of different ways right now. And Jose Galante is with me in studio. Producer Mark Hoke. He could chime in at any time here. Hour number 2, going to talk a lot of football. Let me just update the Rich Badge and Finley Toyota out-of-town scoreboard. Just 2 games now left in the NBA. Heat 78-73 still lead the Suns. That fourth quarter, 10:40 to go in the fourth quarter. You couple that with Lakers 78, Hawks 64. 7:39 to go in the third quarter. So, I mean, you got 142 points with 7:39 to go in the third quarter. You got 151 points with 10:40 left in regulation in that Heat Suns game. So we'll keep an eye on those two games. Now 82-73 as the Heat go up by 9 and the Lakers 81-66 up 15 now with 6:54 to go in the third quarter. Meanwhile, college basketball, everything is done. We gave you almost all of those scores earlier. And 4-3, San Jose leading Anaheim now. So the Sharks putting together a pretty good night offensively, and that game has already gone over the total of 6.5. Calgary 4-1. That is a final now. Beat the Islanders. Gave you the other scores from earlier, the 4 scores. Chicago 2-0 shutout Arizona at home. 4-2 Winnipeg doubled up on Tampa at home. 3-2 Florida road win at Detroit. Nashville also that same 3-2 score, a road win at Washington. And got you all those college scores and those 2 NBA games we'll keep an eye on. Also, my Knicks, 112-108. I'm happy, man. I'm a happy camper that the Knicks are playing decent ball. Jose, you're a Lakers fan. Any other teams that you follow that, you know, sometimes when your team is bad, you kind of adopt another team to root for? I did that last year with the Phoenix Suns. My wife, of course, in the state of Arizona, and my brother-in-law's got Suns season tickets. Boy, I never would have told you that I could have expected that game against Dallas to close out the season, just getting buried by Luka Doncic and the Mavs. I mean, that game was over by halftime. But what's your 1A, so to speak? If the Lakers are struggling, who's another team that you root for in the association?
Golden State Warriors. Reason being, my oldest daughter, is a big Steph Curry fan, so I kind of stuck to that team as my second team because of that. And I'm actually glad that I did, because if I'm being honest, it's been so fun to watch Steph in his career and what he's done. And it's always fun to watch that team play. I saw them play the other night, and they're playing even great without him, going into overtime, playing great games. Klay Thompson showing up, doing some amazing things towards late games here. So they're a team, in my opinion, that is just, how do you not like watching the Golden State Warriors? I mean, I still don't believe that Steve Kerr is that guy, because if we're being honest, Mark Jackson is the one that set up that team. Call me crazy. I still stick by that, because we know that it was a plug-and-play situation for Steve Kerr to come in. But the Lakers, Golden State Warriors, you got to stick to my California roots there. So pretty much those are my 2 teams, I would say.
I like Mark Jackson as a color commentator.
He's great.
Man down. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
That's one of his.
Mama, here come that man.
Here you go. All right. So let me get your take on Monday's game, Georgia and TCU. Duggan, I know you like that 31.5 over as far as Max Duggan rushing yards. DeMarcado, what is his total as far as that goes? Because I don't know if Kendry Miller will play, and we wouldn't find out. I know he wants to play, but anytime it's a knee, and when you have somebody that's got NFL potential, I know they're going to be careful. He does want to play, but I know Coach Sonny Dykes is going to be careful. Do you have a rushing total on DeMarcado?
That one, I do not. It's actually not on the board at all from what I'm seeing at right now. So it could be a reason because of that. They're probably keeping it out for now.
There you go. That's right. That's a good point there. Stetson Bennett, what do you have there as far as passing yards for Stetson Bennett?
I'm looking at over 272.5 at -114.
You going over there?
I don't trust Stetson, if I'm being honest with you. I just don't. I think he'll have probably a lower passing game. I'm not going to touch it, but we'll see.
Be interesting, but great information from Brad Powers letting us know McConkey not 100%. Brock Bowers is the real deal, but he'll usually get doubled up as much as possible. Really came on the scene during COVID time with a film that came out on the workouts that he had running up a mountain. I watched a special on that. He grew up in Napa, California.
Okay.
Both his parents were big-time athletes at Utah State. And, just real neat how, he stayed in shape, whatnot, but when everything was kind of locked down, there he was in Napa, and he's doing this Jerry Rice type workout, running up a mountain and just going at a great speed, and sent that video around to different schools. And of course, he ends up over there at Georgia, and what a tight end he's going to be. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch at the next level. They've got a loaded backfield with McIntosh and Edwards and Milton, and defensively, we know Georgia, how many players they put into the NFL last year, and of course, they still have some solid players this year. Remember, Nolan Smith went down, but they still excel. I like the freshman cornerback Malachi Starks a lot. But I do like the linebacking core for TCU, and I think that's what really has kept them in. Have a good junior safety in Mark Perry, but the 3 linebackers, D. Winters is a senior, and then you have Johnny Hodges and Jamoy Hodge. Those 2 guys combined for 146 tackles, and then Winters had 7.5 sacks going into the CFP playoffs. And, they did their job, and they've kept They kept TCU in some games, but Quentin Johnson, when he is healthy, and he looked like he was 100% last week in the game against Michigan, this guy is one of the top 3 receivers in college football. Quentin Johnson, he will be potentially the number 1 receiver taken in the NFL draft, is what I saw in some mock drafts. But Tay Barber's pretty good as well. Darius Davis, they've got playmakers, Savion Williams. So there's plenty to throw to for Max Duggan. Question is, will he have the time to do it? And of course, if he doesn't have the time, he's going to make his legs kind of create plays the way that we saw Stidham do for the Raiders last week against the San Francisco 49ers. So it'll be interesting to see how TCU goes at it. What's your take on the game overall? And will you touch the points? Will you take the 12.5? Will you lay the points? Or like you said, probably just wait to get involved as the game's going?
So I'm a sucker, and I'll be honest with you. You can call me the casual bettor. You can call me the regular over-the-counter guy if you want to do that, because I don't consider myself a sharp nor a professional handicapper, never have. And until I get to that point, I will. But I like TCU on the money line. Call me crazy, and I'm going to sprinkle some on it because I just don't trust Georgia. If I'm looking at record and we're looking at who they played, I get it. Georgia's in the SEC. There's the SEC bias every single year. That's never going to change. But if we look at TCU, who they played, how they played, the games that they were in, having a guy like Duggan come in and do what he's done this season. Offensively, I think that TCU is the better team going into this matchup overall. And not only that, call me crazy, conspiracy theories, matchups, just hot streaks. I'm watching videos. I'm seeing these guys being interviewed. I'm seeing the way that they're talking. Georgia has everything to lose in this matchup, and I believe TCU has nothing to lose whatsoever. I think they're going into this game happy, relaxed, comfortable. You're going into a national championship game after firing your head coach, which was the winningest head coach in program history in Patterson. You got a guy in Dykes that comes over from right down the street, let's just call it that, to come on over and take over a job at TCU, and in your first year, you go to the national championship. I just think that this team is on a high that cannot be stopped. On the defensive side of the ball, though, yes, Georgia allowing only 12 points per game. That's tough. Is TCU going to be able to come out and do that and put up points on the board? I think that Quentin Johnson might get double-teamed a lot in this game because we know that Georgia's defense is going to come up and step up and do what they have to do to stop the biggest playmakers on the offensive side of the ball for TCU. But I think that Duggan is just too good with his legs and being able to survey the field and get other guys involved aside from the big name playmakers. I'm going to watch this game live, KT. I will put money on it for the money line because I have to sprinkle that. There's no way that I can't touch the price on the money line. But the things that I will be betting when it comes to the prop bets, I like Quentin Johnson, anytime touchdown. He's at -115. I think that the Georgia defense could even find a way to get a touchdown in this game. Call me crazy. I got him at +210.
What other players for TCU do you have touchdown there? I mean,
I got them all. Who do you want? Tell me.
What about tight end Jared Wiley?
Jared Wiley is at +600 anytime touchdown score.
I would look there. This guy finds a way to get open. Bowers is going to get all the attention. Real good tight end, but Wiley's pretty good. Has 4 touchdown receptions, 22 receptions this year. Yes, they've got Quentin Johnson, they've got Tay Barber, they've got Darius Davis, they've got Savion Williams. So those are your wideouts. But this tight end is pretty good, and he can catch one. There's also Jordan Hudson, who's a young tight end. He's a freshman. He has 3 touchdown receptions on 14 catches this year. All these guys pretty durable. They've all played, and I'm looking forward to I want to see combined rushing and receiving yards for DeMercado because I think he's a guy that just was kind of held back, and rightly so, because Miller was having such a good year. But you saw DeMercado get his opportunity last year and become the bell cow. And what happens? 150 yards and a touchdown in a little over 3 quarters. So we'll see how it all pans out for TCU. And TCU's got to be excited watching the way Ohio State went up and down the field on Georgia's defense.
Definitely. That gives you a lot of motivation going into that game because Georgia did not look good whatsoever. We get it. It's Ohio State. You know it's going to be a high-scoring game. But it makes you feel good as a team that is this much of an underdog going to play the defending national championship. Can Georgia pull it off? I don't know. It's yet to be seen, but I think it's going to be a great game. I don't see it being slow and boring. I've had a lot of conversation with a lot of people telling me to touch the under. I can see this being another high-scoring affair just like the Ohio State game was as well.
Also, keep an eye on Kenny McIntosh. I don't know if you have him as far as anytime touchdown there for Georgia, because not only is he a solid rushing guy, and we talked about the 3-headed monster there out of the backfield there with McIntosh, Edwards, and Milton, but he's a good receiver, and he's third on the Bulldogs as
Mhm.
far as receiving, 42 receptions, over 500 yards, only a couple touchdowns, but he might be somebody as well, a little safety valve out of the backfield there for Bennett to dump it off. And, Kenny McIntosh, pretty explosive guy. So I'd look there as well. I'm looking forward to all these props that I'm going to go over. Probably tomorrow, I'll go grab all this stuff and go over a lot of these different ones. And I have apps from several of the sports books here in town. And I tell you to get the Westgate app. I love it, especially if you're a college basketball junkie like KT and Jose. The great thing is you can get down on all the games at halftime and before the game. I mean, they always have lines on all the games, and that's even the extra board games. So that's what's cool. You got to have those outs there. But there's a lot of great sports books here in town. And give yourself, as Chuck Edel and Brad Powers, Andy Isco, Steve Fezzik, they'll tell you, have some outs. Bill Krackenberg. Bill Krackenberger will be on the show next week. He'll be back in Vegas. Looking forward to seeing Bill, one of the sharpest professional handicappers that I know, or not handicappers, but bettors. He's a professional gambler, and that's how he's made his living. He's become a 7-figure guy just on betting sports over the years. So looking forward to all of that. Real quick, I want to grab my producer, Mr. Mark Hoke. He is there at the ready, and of course always does a great job producing SportsX Radio. Don't forget Mark Hoke's show. He does a great job producing his own show on Sunday mornings, The Best in Professional Wrestling, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on KDWN 101.5 FM. Mark Hoke, real quick, your take on that Monday game, because I know you have a good opinion. You follow all the sports. I know you'll be concentrating on your alma mater, North Dakota State, on Sunday. But Monday night, where's Mark Hoke's money going to be?
I love it.
Are you kidding? You're not kidding.
It is too many points, right?
When we look at Georgia's games, and again, the SEC is the SEC, right? But, Georgia didn't play Alabama. They did beat Tennessee 27-13, and that was the game where everybody said, oh, that's why Georgia, they're back. They're back. But, they blitzed Oregon. Now, that score, very deceiving. They still blitzed them.
Early in the season.
Very first game of the year at the Mercedes-Benz Dome right there in Georgia. So, 90% of the crowd was rooting Bulldogs. But Bo Nix had a couple interceptions that were not his fault. A couple, one actually taken back the other way, and 14 points going one way potentially, and 14 go the other way, and it can happen like that. I mean, Georgia, the crowd, the defending national champion, and so football's a game of momentum. You look at the score, 49-3. Game probably would have been somewhere around, maybe a 15-20 point game if things, were kind of evened out as far as turnovers and whatnot early on. But South Carolina, they took care of business. That's before Rattler got rolling there for the Gamecocks. Kent State went into Georgia in between the hedges. Kent State had the MAC, and that was a close game in the early third quarter. I mean, it was like a 10-point game. Then the following week, you figure Georgia's going to say, all right, let's stop messing around with these little schools, right? But let's go and take care of, one of these stepchildren schools that have come into the SEC, Missouri, right? Let's go to Columbia and just bury this team. They were fortunate to win that game. They won that game 26-22. They trailed that game in the fourth quarter. The kicker had 5 field goals there for Missouri after blowing the game the week before in Auburn on a little chip shot, extra point type deal. And Missouri was right there. I had them on the money line. I had them plus, I forget, like 23.5 in game. It was like the easiest money. But Georgia, very fortunate to win that game. But again, good teams find a way to win games that they could lose. They buried Auburn. Auburn down year. Vandy, Vandy's still Vandy. I know Clark Lee doing what he can to up that program. Florida, very down year. So that's the third victory in a row. Then they did beat Tennessee 27-13. They were in control of that game. They pounded Mississippi State in Starkville. So that was a nice effort against Leach's team. And then they struggled with Kentucky. They beat Kentucky 16-6 in Lexington. And it was not a great Kentucky team. Now, Chris Rodriguez was back in the backfield. Levis was playing then, but still Kentucky's offense was stagnant. Give Georgia's defense credit in that game, but their offense really struggled as far as moving the ball. Then they beat Georgia Tech, LSU in the championship game, and LSU was all beat up. Didn't even know if Daniels was going to play. 50-30 was the final. And then, like Brad Powers just told us, very fortunate to come back from 14 down in the fourth quarter against Ohio State and win that game 42-41. So I'm on the TCU Horned Frogs as well. I took the 13.5 when it first came out. It's sitting at 12.5 right now. We'll see how it all pans out. We'll see if Kendry Miller does play. If he does not play, I would look at DeMercado to get some of those prop yardage deals there as far as combined maybe with rushing and receiving. I like DeMercado a lot, and I do like a lot of these weapons there on TCU. But Georgia's D, probably the toughest D that TCU will have faced this year, no doubt about it. But they've done an adequate job, so it'll be a lot of fun on Monday night. Take a break, come back. We're going to hit the NFL hard, and we've got some updates as far as what about home field advantage in the old AFC. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to let you know exactly what we know from the NFL. Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, all comes into play. We've got some big games coming up. Two are here, or two are in, tomorrow. One is here in town at Allegiant Stadium. Both Jose and myself will be at that game. Raiders right now 9-point underdogs against Kansas City. That'll be the early game, 1:30 Pacific time. And then the later game will be for the AFC South. It'll be Tennessee at Jacksonville. And Lawrence playing real solid football right now. I'll be surprised if Jacksonville loses that one. So we'll run it through. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on throughout the NFL, and then we'll try and get in some of those overnights in the other sports as well before we get out of here at the top of the hour. SportsX Radio, Ken Thompson, Jose Vellante. We are live from Vegas. Keep it right here. Okay, so we'll go rapid fire on the games that don't mean anything, right, outside of from a betting perspective. And, so in weighing on your opinion on those games, just so we can get through them all in the next.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I love it. That's a great idea.
We'll go rapid fire.
The non-important ones, just quick, boom, boom, and then the ones we got to talk about.
Yeah, elaborate on the other ones, and then we'll look at the last bunch of minutes. We'll look at some CVB and some NBA.
We've had a good steady amount of people watching. I appreciate y'all. Let me get the man in the camera though, because we gotta get our guy Ken. Put him up in here. Let everybody know.
There you go.
All right, my guy.
Appreciate you all listening. SportsX Radio, baby. Jose Vellante is going to be a regular guy on SportsX Radio. He's young and up and coming and one of the best in the business. But we appreciate you listening.
Hey, thank you, my guy. Follow him, Ken Thompson, SportsX Radio. If you guys are on Twitter right now, follow it. I tagged them on there. Trust me, great stuff. You in Vegas? Check it out.
SEC sucks. The SEC sucks.
This year they were down overall.
No, it
There's
just
no
sucks.
question.
The Pac-12 was better than the SEC this year.
The SEC's first.
But yet
half,
you won't hear that on ESPN because they have a contract with the SEC.
half the teams are.
Well, I mean, still,
Do you know?
there's still three. There were three legit teams when Hooker was healthy, and although Milton's pretty good. Georgia,
no,
Alabama, and
I'm just
Tennessee.
saying overall.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Do you know that no one has, outside of those 6 teams that have won titles recently, no one's won a title in the other group since 1960.
Wow.
Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama,
Florida.
Auburn, and who's the other one?
Tennessee.
No, he already said Tennessee.
Oh, you did.
What am I forgetting? Somebody good.
Not South Carolina, not Mississippi State, not Mississippi, both those teams.
Auburn, Georgia.
Arkansas, no. LSU.
LSU.
Oh, that's right. They won.
LSU.
Yeah.
None of those teams have won since 1960. This is the other fun stat if you want to really impress people. All those other teams have only won one more conference championship than 3 teams that are not in the conference anymore and haven't been in there since the 60s. Go on Wikipedia, look it up.
I gotta
Look
look
up
that
SEC football champions.
Wow.
It's hilarious because like Tulane was in there and they won.
Tulane?
Tulane used to be in the SEC.
I did not know that. That's amazing. I'm sorry. Wow.
Georgia Tech won 5. I think it's Georgia Tech won 5 and Tulane won 3.
Jesus.
But yeah, that's pathetic. That's why I say, it's a great half conference.
Half conference, yeah.
Bills don't win.
What about your Eagles, man?
Is Hurts playing? I didn't look.
I think he is.
I'm sure he is.
No. He said Sirianni said he was trending upward. So that let me. They need that game. I would take Eagles first half. I think they're up 28-0 at half.
I would hope that they would come out with a fire.
Giants aren't playing
from
Thibodeau.
the
They're not
pits
playing
of hell.
anybody.
The Giants are in already, regardless,
The Giants are
right?
in. They're not moving.
Yeah, but I
They're
thought
not moving.
people said he was playing everybody.
Probably like the first quarter or something, if that. He's like, oh shit.
All right, Mark Hoke going old school there. A little Meatloaf coming back here on a Friday. Meatloaf passing away, I think, last year? And yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, real solid album. A couple albums there. That 2 out of 3 ain't bad, which we always use in sports handicapping, man. If you can hit 2 out of 3, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. You'll take it. Anything over 55%, you're going to make yourself some good money. Ken Thompson, Jose Vellante on a Friday football fiasco. We're going to talk some NFL football right now on SportsX Radio, and then see if we can't duck in some of the other overnights from some of the other sports in the next 2 segments. And I just want to update just 2 games still going in the association. 96-87 Heat over the Suns. 3:24 to go fourth quarter. 7:48 to go fourth quarter. Lakers up 111-92 on the Hawks. So they've slowed down. They kind of put it in cruise control there, but they're taking care of business as 3-point underdogs at home. Suns were also 1-point underdogs at home, really struggling. They're going to, like I said, have to make some moves if they want to get to the promised land as far as with Chris Paul, who's running out of time as far as to win the title. San Jose still leads Anaheim 4-3, 8:30 to go in the third period. That's an update on what's going on as far as the Rich Badge and Finley Toyota out-of-town scoreboard live from Vegas. SportsX Radio rolling at you. All right, Jose, let's go rapid fire NFL. We'll start with games that don't matter. So let me jump into games that don't matter. How about Texans and Colts? It'll be Colts -3, even money, 38 the total in Indy. Doing anything?
Not touching it whatsoever. Goodbye, Jeff Saturday.
There you go. Move on down. Panthers and Saints. Both teams, playing hard still, and both defenses respectable, no question. Good solid effort by the Saints in Philly last week. Saints are at home in Nolans, -3.5 even money there at Westgate Superbook. Total of 42 against the Panthers, who will be making a lot of moves during the offseason.
Give me the Saints. A lot of money's on the Panthers. Not an official play for me, but if I had to bet it, I would take the Saints at home at -3.
All right, so games. I mean, pretty much there's at least a team that will matter in all the other games. Saturday, we talked Chiefs Raiders a little bit. I took the Raiders in the 9.5. You took the Raiders, and Brad Powers took the Raiders as well, right? Plus the points.
Yep, I'm with it. I'm definitely with it, and I like Patrick Mahomes over the +322. I think he goes over that passing total.
There you go. Then I'll tell you what, if he goes over that total, the game will go over the 52.5 total that's sitting right now. Titans Jags. It's hard not to take the Jags minus the 6.5, just the way they're playing. I respect Vrabel. I know he'll have the team ready for the game. I think the only way Tennessee wins is if they create some turnovers. Maybe pick Lawrence off a time or two, or get fumble recoveries. They got to make some plays. And the Jaguars have been a very opportunistic team their last several games. Where are you going on this one? Is this one that you tease down the Jags to a half?
Yeah, I like the Jaguars in this game. I do. They're hot in their last 4. They're 4-0 straight up, 4-0 straight up against the spread as well. At home, they're 4-2 ATS. They're a really good team. I like what Doug Peterson has got, what he's doing with this team right now. Trevor Lawrence is finally coming into his own. And they have a coach that's actually knows what he's doing with the team and the players. So I like Jacksonville. I wouldn't buy it down. I'm not afraid of the 6.5. I like the 6.5. I think they come out and cover this easy. I don't trust Joshua Dobbs. I just don't. Tennessee's completely going backwards as where Jacksonville's going forward. I like the Jags in this one.
All right, so we go to Sunday, Rams Seahawks, game 451, 452. Rams Bobby Wagner going back to go against his old team. He said he's fired up for this game. I think the Rams will come out and play hard. Line is dropped. It actually went up to 6.5, dropped down to 5.5 some places, but sitting at 6 now everywhere here in Las Vegas, including the Superbook, 41.5 your total.
Does Matthew Stafford play this last game of the season? No, right? There's no point. I don't see anything going on in this game, to be honest with you. I'm not touching it. Probably won't even be watching it. All the money that I'm looking at right now is on the Rams, as it should be. Seattle hasn't been playing good as late. They started off hot, but have gone backwards as well.
All right, so Mark's Eagles are at home, and all of a sudden they need this game to wrap up the best record in the NFC, unless one of the other teams lose, like 49ers, who probably are not going to be losing to the Cardinals. Actually, it would be Minnesota. The Vikings as well are still involved there, and they'll be playing the Bears. But, you know, Philadelphia crushed the Giants in Jersey. Giants are going to be resting players by, you know, as the game goes on. To me, Hurts, it sounds like Sirianni is leaning towards playing him. I think Philly either way is going to be able to shut down the Giants and probably dominate this game big time, just like they did in Jersey. And I would think that they're going to not only cover the 14, but I think they'd be a great play in the first half. I think the crowd will be looking for them to get off to a good start. And the way Minshew struggled last week, I'm sure the offense is ready to get geared up and going. What about a Philly minus 14, 43 years old?
I have no play on the game whatsoever. The only thing I do have is give me the over first half. Almost every game but 3, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I have to look back on my stats, of the Phillies game. Mark can actually tell me this. Majority of the Eagles games went over in the first half this year. So I do like the total over in the first half, and I probably will take the total for the game. I think it's way too low. I know you don't know what's going to happen with Philly, who they're playing, who they're not. The Giants have some guys that won't be in either, but give me the total of the over 43.
All right, Jets and Dolphins. Jets going to go with Joe Flacco to close the season, same way they started the season. Now for the Dolphins, it's tough because there's no Tua. Teddy Bridgewater got hurt last week. It's Skylar Thompson. Skylar Thompson hoping that he can get the job done. Miami continues to get money. They're -3 and -120 pretty much everywhere here in Vegas. There's some -115s, but this line is going to hit 3.5 before kickoff. There's no doubt about it. 37 is the total. If you want to play Miami laying the points, you better get on it right now. I like the Dolphins. I think Skylar Thompson's going to have a good game. And I think, you know, the Jets, they're missing 3 of their starting offensive linemen. Again, quarterback situation's a joke. They're going to be not motivated to play this game as far as I'm concerned. I think Miami's going to – it's hard to say roll because I don't know how many points they'll put up, but I think Tyreek Hill and all these guys understand what's on the line. I'm looking for Gesicki to have a nice game. They've got plenty of offensive weapons. I think Miami will win this by double digits.
I normally don't bet on or off my team, but this line movement makes no sense. Miami opens as -3.5 point favorites. All the money that's been coming in is on them, but yet the line still sits at -3.5. The books are afraid of something. Give me the Jets plus a 3.5 on the road.
Well, okay, so it's 3 and -120 right now. So I mean, I'll give you that. I mean, I will. I'll give you 3.5 just because you're here. We'll do that for we'll do that for a cup of coffee, man.
All right, there we go.
You're Jets. I forgot. That's right. You're a Jets fan. And how did that allegiance come down? You're a Penguins guy in hockey. I mean,
it's all stuff that was given to me. When I was a kid, my mom's boyfriend gave me a Boomer Esiason Jets jersey, and the rest is history.
All right, well, that's good. These are great. This is what inquiring minds want to know, Jose. Come on, we gotta stay on this.
I'm not a bandwagoner, so that's good.
That's right, exactly. And that's the cool thing. You're an SC fan, so I respect that. You know, I'm an SC fan from Jersey, for the love of God.
There you go.
For a long, long time. First team I ever saw, and I guess maybe because they won and they ran roughshod on UCLA way back in the late '60s. Dave KT's self, but you know, still looking good. Still launching the threes like I did today, man. Gosh, Jose, you shoot hoops?
It's been a while, but yes, I do play basketball.
Right, so one time you go out there with KT and don't make the same mistake that some guy that I used to be on the radio on the same station with him by saying that you think you're going to be able to shoot the old man.
I got to stretch it out a bit before we get going.
That guy was eliminated with 5 shots still left out of the 25. He never even got to the corner where any of his shots mattered. So
I got to put up some buckets before we get going. I got you.
You do whatever you need to do, and you know, KT will take your
Let's go.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. All right, so now we've got Lions Packers.
I love this game.
Seattle loses. I just am. I'm hoping the Rams beat them so that this game becomes the all or nothing game for the 7th spot in the NFC. Because I'd like to see the Lions make it, but my wife's Packers are playing good ball too, and Brad Powers Where do you say his money will be on Aaron Rodgers? They're -5, 49 the total. Goff's been playing well. It'll be, I think, about 25 degrees game time, no wind. So it's not going to be one of those frozen tundra type games. I'm sure Campbell's had the Lions practicing outside. What about it? Packers -5, 49 the total. Where are you going on this one?
And a big shout out to you, sis. I like the Packers. I think the Packers are going to come out. Aaron Rodgers in a win or go home situation to make the playoffs at home against Detroit out of all teams. I can definitely see the Packers winning this game. And don't go crazy, but I think that 49 looks very, very enticing to touch because we're going to see a lot of fireworks in this game, I believe so.
Your sister's a big Packer fan?
Yeah, she's a huge Packer fan. I'm talking about huge. And she lives in L.A.
Okay, so here's the thing. My wife being from Wisconsin, one of the venues she's got to go to. I don't know if she's ever gone.
I don't think she has.
She's got to go to Lambeau Field. It is a must do for sure. Bucket list for everybody. You want to go there when they're not playing your team. You want to go there and root for the home team. It is a lot of fun, tradition, great stuff. And I had a lot of time, a couple of years in a row. And we usually would time it to where we go Badgers game, Camp Randall on Saturday, and then drive up to Green Bay on Sunday. And it is worth it. And the Hall of Fame that they've got there, the museum, is second to none. So you got to go there. We'll make sure that's on your sister's bucket list.
Bucket list for sure.
Yeah, we'll see if we can't coordinate something. Browns, Steelers. We know now that Jadeveon Clowney's not going to play for the Browns. Look, Stefanski and company going in there. This line has stayed steady at 2.5, and I think it's because Pittsburgh, the way they're winning their last few games, it's like bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, and they come up with 3 hits in a row and end up winning. They did that against the Raiders as well, and then same thing last week. Steelers are -2.5, 40. I'm going to play the Steelers. I like the way T.J. Watt's playing, man. Just back to his old self. Doesn't look like any ill effects from the injury from earlier in the season. I'm on the Steelers laying the 2.5. Where are you?
Steelers 5-8, win their last 3, 8-8. I agree with Brad. I think they're playing for that whole let's give Mike Tomlin another winning season, and they're playing right at the right time. So give me the Steelers.
And they're not out of it yet.
No, not at all.
Fall right. If New England loses and Miami loses, the old Steelers may be able to get in there. I think it's pretty complicated, but because they did not have a good conference record in the AFC. Texans and Colts, we went over that one. Cardinals, 49ers -14, 39.5. What a low total when you're laying 14. But this has, one of these 27-3 scores written all over it. No doubt to me that the Niners took the Raider game lightly. I really think with all the turmoil the Raiders were going through with Derek Carr and they're thinking Stidham, who is this guy coming in? We're going to crush him. They only had 1 tackle for loss. They had no sacks. That's like, are you kidding me?
That's unheard of for a Niners team.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Raiders, they didn't have any sacks, but they had 4 tackles for loss. Max Crosby, by the way, if he gets 9 tackles, I think he'll have the most tackles since, he's got 83. He'll get to 92. And I forget, I was reading somewhere on a couple different things as far as Max Crosby, but what a year he's had. Who do you like in this game? Niners -14, 39.5. I can only lay it.
The only team that's got the longest winning streak in the NFL, Niners. They're on a 9-game winning streak right now. I like what Brock Purdy is doing. This kid is coming in there and is doing his job like they asked him to, nothing crazy. I think the Niners run away with this one. I don't see Arizona doing anything in this game.
Chargers, Broncos -3.5 now, even money. Now, there are some threes minus some juice around town, but at the Westgate Superbook, it is -3.5, even money, 39.5 the total. From the Mile High City, I think Denver gives one for the fans. Gives a solid effort, plays the whole way. Look, the Chargers, they just got back Keenan Allen and Williams. They're not going to risk those guys. He can't risk Eckler, can't even risk Herbert. So you go with the backups. Joey Bosa just got back. Can't risk that guy not being in the postseason. The combination of Bosa and Mack together, Chargers are one of those teams that if you're going to take a future and you're not going to have Kansas City or Buffalo or Cincinnati, the Chargers are one of those teams you're going to get a nice number on. And they've got potential. There's no question. They've got players on both sides of the ball. They just have not been healthy at the same time all year. Broncos are -3.5. That said, I like the Broncos to win this game.
I'm with you. I think the Broncos come out and win this game. And from what I believe, I don't think that the Chargers have anything to play for in this, right? They're pretty much in as it is. So, yeah, I can see the Broncos winning this. Head coaching change and everything going on there with Russell Wilson. Give me the Broncos at home.
There you go. All right, Buccaneers and Falcons. Falcons -4, 40.5. The only incentive for Tampa Bay, because they're locked into the 4 seed right now, is that you want to finish over 500 for the love of God. They're sitting at 8-8. I hate when teams get into the playoffs and they're under 500. So that's the only reason I'll root for the Buccaneers. I never root for Brady anyway. But at the end of the day, he has pulled several games out this year on that final drive or even final 2 drives. In some aspects, he's done a nice job. Falcons are -4, 40.5. I'm not going to touch the game.
I have nothing to do with this game whatsoever either.
Commanders, they're still going to play out the string, but they're out too. Cowboys -7. They're hoping Philly somehow loses to the Giants and maybe they win the NFC East. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Cowboys will have the starters out by the second half. They're -7, total of 40 from DC. And a new quarterback, Sam Howell, the former North Carolina kid, will quarterback there for the Commanders.
I have nothing to do with this game. I want nothing to do with this game whatsoever because I can see it going either way. So I'm not touching.
Patriots and Bills. Bills at home. It's -7 now over there at Westgate Superbook. So you're starting to see 7s. It was 7.5 pretty much all week. Now with the DeMar Hamlin improving, the video, I'm thinking that's taken a lot of pressure there off the players. They don't have to worry as much. They know he's out of the weeds right now. And so they're going to be focused in. They know what's at hand. They know there's not a makeup game with Cincinnati. They're -7, 43.5. Now, on the other hand, Belichick and the guys, they know they have to win to make sure they're in. Now, they can get help if Miami and Pittsburgh lose or whatnot, but they want to take care of business themselves. So that's why the 7.5 was so attractive. Buffalo, to me, is going to be focused big time. That crowd's going to be into it big time with the DeMar Hamlin recovery. Buffalo -7, 43.5. You touching it?
Yeah, I actually am. I'm taking Buffalo. I think that Buffalo is going to come out with everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin. Like you said, I think they're going to be hyped up. It's just one of those games, right, where you want to come out for your compadre, for your player, for your brother. And I think this is that game. The line movement, it's a bit weird though, KT. It opened at -8.5 for the Bills, down to 7, 7.5 at most places, but yet most of the money coming in on the Bills. So you got to watch that as well.
All right. And then Ravens, Bengals. This one, Baltimore wins. They're right there as far as that AFC North. But the Bengals keep getting the money. They're -9, 39.5. And in that start on that Monday night game, Joe Burrow and company look focused big time. Go right down, score a touchdown. I think now they're going to look, we've got an opportunity if we take care of business for some things to play out to where we can get into this championship game in the AFC and potentially have it on a neutral field. And that's a lot better than having to go back to Arrowhead. Bengals -9, 39.5 without Lamar. And, I don't know when we see him, but I can only look Bengals.
I like the Bengals as well. 7-game winning streak, 7-0 ATS in their last 7. They're just hot at the right time. And I honestly believe, KT, that this team is better than last year's Bengals team was at this point in time in the season. So give me the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. And then the last game we've got, it's Minnesota and the Chicago Bears, and Justin Fields not playing. And that's what hurts. I mean, he's just had a phenomenal season running the football, and would have been nice to see he was going after a record there.
Yeah.
But he won't be quarterbacking this game, and just tough. So we'll see Nathan Peterman start there for the Bears against the Vikings. Vikings, I guess, if Philadelphia were to lose, things could turn out. I'm trying to think if Minnesota's in there. I guess they are. I guess it's with Dallas more or less. But I think Minnesota is pretty much locked in where they are. This is a game that the Bears gave away to Minnesota earlier in the year, right? I mean, it looked like the Bears were going to beat them in in Minnesota, and then Minnesota came back and ended up winning that game by 7 late. I think that, Chicago with Peterman, nobody's even looking at him. I think they'll just run the ball pretty much with Montgomery and Herbert, and even though Fields isn't playing, they're gonna give it their all for their fans there at Soldier Field. I think Chicago hangs in this game, but I'm not touching it.
Yeah, Minnesota's actually locked into the number 3 seed there. It looks like from what I'm looking at right now. Oh no, this is different. These playoff, it's just these brackets here are just crazy. But I agree with you. I like stuff of stats and rankings and the way Minnesota has played. We're actually looking at a 6-10 Minnesota team right now. Let's be real, just based off of the way that they've played overall. But I don't like Minnesota whatsoever. I do feel bad for Justin Fields, but give me Chicago.
All right. So as far as the AFC title game, just to kind of set it straight here, if Buffalo and Kansas City both win or tie, a Bills-Chiefs championship game would be at a neutral site. They have not decided whether it'll be Detroit or even maybe Las Vegas. Don't know, but that is the scenario there. If Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Baltimore wins or ties, a Bills championship game would be at a neutral site. If Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Cincinnati wins, a Bills or Bengals versus Chiefs championship game would be at a neutral site. So again, I know it's a little confusing, but they had to do something with eliminating that game. Now also check with your sports books, because a lot of them, including the Westgate Superbook, have down as far as win totals that the 17 games must be played. And since there's only 16 games played with Cincinnati and Buffalo, even though Buffalo's already achieved that win total, you may not get paid. You may just get your money back. So check with your sports books accordingly. And again, always tough. All right, Ken Thompson, Jose Vellante. We'll come back. We're going to go over some overnights. We'll look at some college basketball, some big games tomorrow, and also maybe duck in an NBA game or two. But on a sad note, right here in the Vegas Valley, got to pay homage. This is crushing, because we watched the DeMar Hamlin situation come down on Monday night, and the whole country got behind it. Meanwhile, there's a lot of deaths around the country year in, year out, at the middle school level, at the high school level, that unless you're in that area, you may not know about. But here in Clark County, Desert Oasis high school student Ashari Hughes, just 16 years old, collapsed yesterday around 7:30 p.m. after a flag football game. She ended up dying later on that night. Her parents, Entrada and Twain Hughes, described her as a passionate, loving, and determined girl. She loved music, dancing, and she just loved the people all around. She had transferred to Desert Oasis from Centennial, but still stayed in touch on a chat site there with her teammates, her former teammates. And it was very emotional for Ophelia Pfeiffer Hill, who posted on her Facebook page. She's been a nurse here, Nevada State Board of Nursing, registered nurse since 2015. And she said the first time in her 26 years that she had to do CPR on a kid, and it was crushing. It was actually her daughter's teammate, and she happened to be there. And our prayers with the family, the Hughes family. Ashari Hughes, 16 years old, collapsing, and then later dying yesterday. And our hearts are out. Nobody ever wants to lose a child. Every parent I know would want to, precede. They never want their children to precede them as far as in death, and that is just unbelievable. So there is a GoFundMe page, and I'll get more information on that for the shows next week, so we can see if we can bond together as Clark County and help out the Hughes family. And our prayers with the family, and of course, folks over there at Desert Oasis and Centennial and the Clark County, flag football community there. That is just a tragic story right there. Ashari, God bless you. And for the parents in Trotta and Twain, our prayers are with you and your family at this time. SportsX Radio, come back. We'll wrap things up. Keep it right here on a Friday Football Fiasco. Ken Thompson, Jose Vellante. Thanks to Brad Powers joining us, hour number one. And also my good pal, Mark Hoke, who's doing a great job producing, as he always does. Mark Hoke Show, Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You like professional wrestling, you'll love the Mark Hoke Show. We're coming back. You're listening right now to SportsX Radio on 1140 The Bet. Also, 101.5 FM KDWN, and on the Odyssey app. If you haven't downloaded it, do it now. It's spelled AUDACY, and you just have to search for KDWN or SportsX Radio. Archives up by 11 o'clock. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up on a Friday Football Fiasco. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Gosh dang it, man. I have 4 daughters. I can't even imagine that.
Oh, I know. I have 2 daughters and 2 boys, so I feel you.
I know, right? After flag football game.
By the way, Ken, you can download this app.
Okay.
This is the Bison Tracker app.
So what?
It's the Bison Tracker app. So you sign into the app.
I didn't hear you say anything to Brad. I didn't hear you say anything to Brad when he said South Dakota State's going to win their first title.
What am I going to say? There's 3 down there. Jump in. Come on,
man. Brad Powers.
No, but see, you can go into a Bison event. You just sign in.
Okay.
And you see where everybody is.
Okay.
That are signed into the app.
So on Sunday, all of Fargo will be there.
So on Sunday,
all of Fargo will be there.
There's only 500 people that live there. So
you got the interstate filled.
What about the Brookings app? I'm on that one. I don't have that. I have that app.
I'm
it's
out.
the Jackrabbits, and they've already been there for 3 days.
Appreciate
They got there a lot faster.
We're done. Jose V.
Jackrabbits.
Ken Thompson. SportsX Radio.
You got the Del Vikings coming.